Hello and welcome. Thank you very much for joining me here on Finance JCL. And today it's the Asia Pacific elements of my portfolio, and the data is as of Friday. So just a quick recap: the goal is my £1 million investment account, ideally by 2050. I think it's a realistic goal, and you can see where we're at there, about 4% in, and we look at the Asia Pacific element. It's about an eighth of the portfolio, so a bit of a smaller one than the UK and US. Start off, but perhaps no surprise, Alibaba is the largest holding. Now, I have done a video of detailed analysis on them, so I'll leave a link for that. And I've taken advantage of increasing this position recently due to the price drops in the market. I think there's definitely a large amount of upside on this holding. And yeah, 9% down as you expect due to what's happened, but that isn't that much compared to the upside. So, and if it drops further, I will likely add more to that position. We're around the 200 mark now per share, and I can easily see this one, within 12 months being at 300, and in the long term, 4,500, absolutely no problem. Second biggest holding is a fund I've actually held for a very long period of time. It's one of my original investments back in the day, I think 2013 or 14 when I started. Now this one's up 80%, but I am thinking of selling this position, and I'll demonstrate why when we get to one of the later holdings. The Chinese index down 9%, so not too much considering what's happened recently. And that's what I'm just going to be chipping a tiny amount of money into each month just to build up a position, because I think that in the long term this is going to be a good investment. Kelly Partners Group is an Australian company, and I think you could best describe it as providing accountancy and business services. I only bought this one a handful of months ago, and it's up quite considerably already. So it's 28% up in a matter of months. So really pleased with that. Well, actually, I'd identified this one several months before, but I hadn't actually got to it on my list of stocks to review. And in that time, the price had increased quite a lot. So I've missed out on that could be something like 45% had I managed to get to it earlier. So a little bit of regret there. However, you can't always pick these things at the right time. And this is a long-term hold for me. I think the management's very strong. I can see a lot of long-term compounding. I can see them compounding at 20% a year. This is going to be an interesting one to watch on the Australian stock exchange, but it is a very small market cap, so obviously do be wary due to the risk investing in low market cap companies if you look into them. Now this is Pacific excluding Japan Index. Now this is one that I'm paying into on a monthly basis. You can see the fees on this one, it's 0.13%. And if you look at the holdings, the Taiwan Semiconductor, Samsung, BHP, and so on. Now the funds that I mentioned earlier on with the 80% or so performance, you can see some of the large holdings are overlapping, but the fee on this one is much higher. What I'm thinking of doing is that going forward, that this iShares fund is a better option for a similar kind of exposure, but the fee is much lower, and therefore on that basis, that's the better bet. So who I've been adding to that position recently as the market price has dropped. I mean, this one's very volatile. Got an excellent balance sheet, and I think it's got a decent amount of cash on that balance sheet as well as per the last update. So it's probably one of my worst performing positions in the entire portfolio across all the different holdings, not just the Asia Pacific ones. I think this one is likely to recover. I don't think streaming's going anywhere. Yes, there might be a very short-term dip as people get out and about again, but if you're into gaming and streaming, you're not going to stop just because you're allowed out. You still will be doing those things. Like JD, down marginally again as per the recent market conditions. I think the upside on that one is certainly 100% within 5 years. I wanted a bit more exposure to the Australian market specifically, so that's just a bit more exposure to that index. And then Baidu down, and I think again this has suffered heavily recently, so I'm taking advantage of that. Yeah, I think there's a good upside this. But looking at all those holdings, the ones that I'm going to be really excited about here, I think Alibaba, and I will definitely be adding to that. The market price continues to drop. I'm really excited about Cali Partners. And yeah, there'll be a bit of monthly money going to the Pacific, excluding Japan index fund. Cool. So there we have it. That's my relatively small Asia Pacific portfolio. Let's see what happens. And I think there's some good long-term holds there. And if you haven't caught it, I have just uploaded my UK portfolio performance review. So there's a link coming up for that. And the next one I'm going to be doing is the US one. So you can see the bulk of that portfolio there, go through all the holdings and their performance. So thanks for joining me and have a good rest of the day.